Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
I'm Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2 Fantasy. We're also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2 Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are opening up our division previews for the 2026 season, starting with the AFC and NFC North divisions. So we'll do an episode covering each North, South, East, West divisions for both the AFC and the NFC consolidated one. And this time we are starting with the North. Jeff, before we dive into those divisions, do we have any league news to talk about?
We sure do. We have that the Saints and running back Alvin Kamara have agreed on a restructured contract to keep him with the team through 2026, making it an interesting split of a backfield. Now that you know for sure Kamara and Achane are going to be there, who do you believe is going to be the lead back, and what do you believe the split is going to be here?
I still think Travis Etienne is going to be the lead back. He's the grounder and pounder, but I think Kamara is definitely going to be mixed in as well. They're going to probably be a committee approach, and Kamara is most likely going to be the primary receiving back and third down back.
Understood. I don't know what I'm going to do with both backs once it comes down to drafting. The reason being is because I think that Travis Achane, whatever we want to call him these days, basically he should be the lead back. He should be the guy that goes here. But if there's a split in this backfield, he's not going to be as valuable as his draft position should be. So where you pick him is going to be the most interesting spot right now. And for me, I have them going, Achane going at 54, and I have Kamara going at pick 100. So running back 24, running back 44. What do you think about the rankings there of running back 24 and running back 44?
I think that we're forgetting that Kellen Moore likes to deploy multiple backs, especially two really stud backs. And going back to when he was the offense coordinator for the Cowboys, and he had Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, both of them were fantasy relevant. So just because people were ready to count out Kamara for retirement does not mean he is officially done. And as the receiver back with a solid running back in front of him that can ground and pound in Travis Etienne, I think they're both going to be usable. I think it depresses Travis's value, but it makes both of them like in the running back 2, running back 3 / flex conversation, especially in PPR for Kamara as well. So I don't think it's the end of the world. I just think it limits the upside unless one of them gets hurt.
And I think there'll be someone in your league willing to draft Achane at his ceiling, and I don't think I'll get very many shares of him this year because they'll see new team, big contract, previous body of work, and I think he's going to go higher than I am comfortable with. Leave some good players for me then.
Yeah.
Great. You ready for the Kings of the North? You know, I named each one of these episodes something unique and fun in the notes, and this is the Kings of the North.
Well,
if you're Game of Thrones fans out there.
Well, right before we get there, there's just a little bit more news for me, in my opinion, that is top of mind for me. I know with the Texans, Tank Dell has not been listed on the PUP, and he's going to be participating in drills, whereas Jalen Noel is on the NFI list and labeled for short term, and he should be back shortly. Sure, they're not the only guys in camp. I haven't really written down everyone that's missing or not, but I thought those were notable. And both quarterback issues for the Cardinals and the Buccaneers seem to be clearing up because Jacoby Brissett got paid a little bit more, especially in incentives, and he is showing up to camp. He's a nominal starter until things derail and they move on to Carson Beck or a different solution to finish out the year. But he will be slinging it while he's the starter. And Baker Mayfield is likely playing on a final year of his deal with no contract extension done.
Absolutely. But you just mentioned the PUP and the NFI and some players that are on one list or the other. They're kind of like the same list right now. One happened in football, one happened outside of football. Some of those players right now, and I've been updating this daily, so I have missed the Texans ones because I did see that Dell cleared today. But Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave are on the PUP. Alec Pierce is on the PUP. Chris Bell for the Dolphins, the new rookie receiver, starting on the NFI list because his injury happened in college. Malik Neighbors, there's conflicting reports whether he's going to start on the PUP or not, but he's expected to be ready for week 1. And Zach Charbonnet is going to start on the PUP. Isaac Garendo is going to start on the PUP. And George Kittle starting on the PUP. That's pretty much the big names.
And right now, these lists don't mean that much because they don't necessarily mean game time yet. They're just an early indicator of their availability in camp for now.
Absolutely. So I mean, this list is kind of smaller than it has been in the past. So, I mean, Chris Brooks is on there too. So if Josh Jacobs does get arrested, does get suspended, is Chris Brooks on the NFI list? So he has a non-football injury. Is he going to miss time? Like this was his chance to actually get into the rotation.
Marshawn Lloyd.
I mean, he spent 8 months at a injury institute, 9 months at an injury institute, so should be good.
I'm ready to get hurt again, Jeff. Says me and probably Marshawn Lloyd both.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Here's my pop culture reference of the day. So, all right. So, anything else before we hop over to the Kings of the North?
No, I think we can jump into the North divisions here.
Absolutely. And before we get started, I will fully admit that that was another pop culture reference. So, sorry for that. I guess I won't limit myself to just one today. But we have the AFC North up first and the Baltimore Ravens, where Alex has a record of 12-5 projected going into this year. I have a record of 10-7, so we'll score the difference here at 11-6. So, I mean, still a respectable record for a rookie head coach. You have QB Lamar Jackson. The running backs, as far as the depth chart goes Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Adam Randall, the rookie, is going to be trying to vie for time this year. And we have Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman's going to return. How long can he hold on to the number 2 wide receiver role? We're going to have Elijah Sarrett, and we're going to have Jacoby Lane. We're going to also have at tight end Mark Andrews and Matt Hibner. So I put all of my rankings in there. I think there is a typo for Justice Hill, but other than that, Alex, what have you?
You mean Justice Hill is not RB6 for the year?
I mean, he could be. we don't know how Minter is going to roll them out here.
I think they're going to be a really good team as long as they stay healthy. I don't think they're going to be overly dominant. I mean, 12-5 is pretty freaking good record, but they lost their Pro Bowl center, who's probably top 2 center in the league. They didn't really fill out all the positions like I would want them to. Rookie head coach, who, although I think he's going to be good, it is going to be his first time as the full-on leader. I have questions with Lamar Jackson despite all of his talent. Derrick Henry, is he going to keep going forever, or is winter finally coming for Derrick Henry? I don't know. I like Zay Flowers. Is he a wide receiver 1 in fantasy perpetually? I don't think so. Rashad Bateman is just a situational deep threat guy. I do think it's interesting that Elijah Sarrett is listed higher than Jacoby Lane, who they drafted ahead of Sarrett in this draft. But that is the correct order because Sarrett's going to be an exceptional big slot for this team. And I'm very curious if they actually deploy him that way or not. Mark Andrews now no longer has Isaiah Likely nibbling away behind him. Hibner is not established yet, so hopefully that means Andrews is in for a big year. They have a very good chance of potentially winning their division, but I have the next team after them that will cover winning that division.
Is there anyone in this depth chart that you could see move up the depth chart? So, like your Adam Randalls kind of stick out to me, or Elijah Sarrett, even your Jacoby Lanes. Could he pass Rashad Bateman this year? Like, could Hibner eat into Mark Andrews?
I think Hibner might be annoying, but I don't think anyone's going to pick him up in fantasy.
It's a name to remember if Mark Andrews gets in a car accident or whatever happened to him that one season. So it's been pretty.
Outside of that, the only big potential mover is how good Elijah Sarrett is year one.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. As you mentioned, the division champs that we both have, the Cincinnati Bengals, you have them at a 13-4 record. I have them at an 11-6 record. If we split the difference at 12-5, they still beat the Baltimore Ravens, which they did for both of us anyways. But we have Joe Burrow. Joe's got to stay healthy this year at quarterback. The running back position here, we have Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, Taj Brooks. I know you would love to see Taj Brooks move up that depth chart because you were very big on him last year. At receiver, we have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They're actually two top 12 wide receivers for me this year, so that's a pretty rare thing to happen. We have Yoshi Voss. We have Colby Young, who's going to be challenging Yoshi Voss for that wide receiver 3 spot. We have Mike Gesicki, and we have Eric All coming back from his torn ACL. He missed all of last year. But Gesicki was a disappointment last year after they signed him to a 3-year deal. So
you're saying Eric missed all of his season? Eric All missed all? Okay. All right. Yeah, I totally forgot that he was there as well as Gesicki because Gesicki was almost irrelevant after I thought that was the perfect landing spot for him. But they don't really use tight ends in Bengal land and up there in Cincinnati.
use Gesicki 1 year and then never again. But when you have Chase and Higgins, who needs a tight end?
They're very top heavy with their weapons. So they're going to heavily rely on Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and everyone else just gets a sprinkle.
How do you feel about Colby Young, though? Do you feel like that's a Jermaine Burton replacement, like a redo on Jermaine Burton? Or do you believe...
100%. I think Colby Young is someone to keep an eye on. Wouldn't necessarily burn a roster spot for him at the moment, but I would keep tabs on him and see how things go. I mean, all he has to do is pay rent and not get in trouble off the field like Jermaine Burton did, and he will be on this roster at least for the year.
Yeah, and I know we don't root for injuries, but if we could get Samaje Perine cut, that would move Taj Brooks up to number 2. So we'll go with cut instead of hurt. So
can we both agree that Samaje Perine is not it?
No, and for some reason the Bengals have always loved him. I know they brought him back after several years away, so unclear why. But yeah, anything else on the Bengals here? Because it's kind of status quo from last year, and they've kept all their position players in place.
No, that's it. I think as long as Burrow's healthy, I think this team has a shot to be one of the best in the whole league.
Absolutely. All right. So we have the Cleveland Browns up next, and you have a 6-11 record, and I have a 5-12 record, meaning that we're splitting the difference at 5.5 wins here. At QB, we have a battle between Deshaun Watson, who I have quarterback 34, and Shedeur Sanders, who I have at quarterback 33. Some news that came out this week on that appears that the offensive position players prefer Watson to Sanders, so that's a pretty interesting little tidbit. But the source is Jerry Jeudy. Does that even matter at this point, Jerry Jeudy? Because will he be on the roster for week 1 or not, considering what they've done at wide receiver the last 2 off seasons? But at running back, you have returning second-year guys, mates here in Quinshawn Judkins and Dylan Sampson. Third running back is kind of up for grabs since Jerome Ford just bounced in free agency to the Commanders. Wide receiver, we have KC Concepcion as my first receiver on the depth chart, followed by Jerry Jeudy for right now. I think Denzel Boston will get the 3rd wide receiver spot, and Isaiah Bond will fill in their 4th wide receiver spot. And then we have Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end and Joe Breuer at tight end. Very young weapons here. I think a lot of first and second years and Jerry Jeudy's.
Well, I think this is going to be Jerry Jeudy's last season with the Browns. And I wouldn't write Cedric Tillman off being the wide receiver 4 over Isaiah Bond. But those guys, at least as your 4 and 5, are really good wide receivers to have. I've told you about this before. Deshaun Watson, he's their best option to have a successful season. But when their season's over, they're more than welcome to turn it over to Shedeur Sanders and have him tank their season away to the first overall pick. Because he's terrible, and I don't think he's going to improve enough.
I still am willing to bet that Taylor Green gets one start this season.
And forgot they drafted him.
Yep. I think week 18, I don't know if they're completely out of it. I don't know how you don't roll him out there one week.
Well, yeah, especially if Shedeur is awful.
Absolutely. I mean, this team has a chance to get completely beat down morale-wise, too. So they'll be looking for any spark that they could find. Fannin Jr. was quite the find. Same thing with Judkins. Sampson appears to be a very good complement to Judkins. So they have almost everything that they need. I think they just need a quarterback. Baker Mayfield.
Oh my god! Oh man, no, I don't think he would ever go back the way that went down. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't either. But they should feel foolish for getting rid of him at this point because
100%.
What they got in return and traded away to get Watson, like just keep Mayfield in that spot and let him grow. But they weren't happy with that. We can agree that the Browns should finish in the last spot in the division, unless there's like another Joe Burrow injury or Aaron Rodgers goes out week 1 on the first couple of snaps with another Achilles injury. So anybody on this team, any receiver you think is going to set themselves apart from the other here? Because I have them all wide receiver 55 to 82.
I really don't want any of these guys. But if one person was going to do it, I would bet on Denzel Boston for rookie year. I think Casey Concepcion has the potential to be the better long-term wide receiver, at least highest upside. But Denzel Boston, I think, might be the better rookie between the two.
Yes, sir. I mean, this team has a chance to be a little bit fun. So
that's why I gave them 6 wins. So I don't know what the official over/under is for them, but we're splitting down the middle. We're at 5.5. So if the Vegas odds are below that, then hit the over.
Yeah, I bet you the Vegas odds are 5.5. It would be exactly on our number, plus it's a half number. All right, rounding out the rest of the AFC North here, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got them with an 8-9 record. I got them with a 7-10 record. So we'll go split the difference there with a 7.5 wins. And
the Vegas odds for Cleveland is 5.5. Exactly.
I mean, we are pretty calculated on things, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers are 7.5 wins.
Let's check that out. No, they are over and under 8.5.
Okay, so that's a full win more. So they're thinking we should bet the under right now on that.
Yeah, because I am at 8 wins and you are at 7.
So we're both under.
So interesting.
Yep. So I have Aaron Rodgers QB 26 going into the year, which is ironic because I have Jalen Warren running back 26 and Rico Dowdle running back 28 this year. So they're kind of going to split. Do expect Warren with the receiving ability to outshine Dowdle a little bit. Caleb Johnson is terrible at running back 93. We also have Eli Heidenreich here, so they'll be sprinkled in there. I can't put him ahead of Caleb Johnson on the depth chart just yet because he was a 7th round pick. So still giving Caleb Johnson the benefit of the doubt, even though his kick return lives rent free in my brain from last year. So
I will say I was very low on him as a prospect. Well, I mean, I still put him at a reasonable spot in rookie rankings, but I didn't really like him as a prospect. I will say, though, that last year was just a terrible, terrible year where everything went wrong for him. So he has nowhere to go but up, and he is someone to keep an eye on, potentially earning his way back in. It's kind of hard for him to shine this year with Warren and Dowdle ahead of him, but there's always potentially next year, year 3. Not sure I agree with your wide receiver order this year based off of camp news, but asset allocation wise, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I have DK leading, followed by Pittman, Jeremy Bernard, and then Roman Wilson. And then I have Freiermuth and Washington as the two tight ends. What don't you agree with me at the wide receiver position?
I think Roman Wilson's going to be wide receiver 3 to start the year.
Over Jeremy?
Yeah. Everything from camp is that he's turning the corner. He's really getting it down. Aaron Rodgers personally sung his praises, which is important for a wide receiver to get the ball. Aaron Rodgers is the one saying it. He might throw you the ball. I've always felt like he's someone that could be a super light version of Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot. So, I mean, I would love to see him involved more. And I don't think that they had good offensive coaches. And Mike McCarthy is at least a B offensive coach. So we'll see if that makes an impact for him. I do think Jeremy Bernard's the better talent, but he is a rookie, so we'll see on that regard as well. I don't think DK Metcalf or Michael Pittman are long for these teams. For this team, I think they're both here while Rodgers is here, and then they'll be gone when Rodgers is gone.
They're a good fit together, though. I mean, their skill sets really don't overlap at all. So if they were both in their prime.
All 4 of these wide receivers are very different from each other.
I think that's good though for Mike McCarthy though. Like I think that speaks volumes to what he could do long term. But with Roman Wilson, I do have to quote a great Texan: "Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you're not going to fool me a second time." And I think Aaron Rodgers did talk him up last year, and I think that was one of the reasons I was in on Roman Wilson last year, so can't do it again.
Well, I expect the offense to be a lot better than last year because of McCarthy.
I expect more downfield shots to DK Metcalf, but will they connect or not, I guess is the real question. Or will he go talk to a fan?
So dumb. So dumb. Don't let them bait you.
He got more than baited. He took a swipe. I won't say a swing. Like that is, if he wanted to punch somebody, he would have punched somebody. But all right. So that does it for our AFC North, and we do believe that the Bengals are going to win the division as of right now. I think we both had Baltimore as a wild card team, so we'll see what our final standings prediction show in the next a month or so. Actually, we're like a month away from kickoff, so we got to give our final standing predictions one last go. But switching over to the NFC North here, the Chicago Bears will start with. We both had 10-7 records, so this should be a 10 Vegas odds, and so I can't believe we were very spot on this one. But Caleb Williams is the incumbent quarterback. The running back room does not change at all with Swift, Monangai, and Johnson. Johnson may or may not get involved in the offense. He didn't last year, which was a little bit surprising. He may not make the roster. I mean, if he's going to be involved that little, I know he plays special teams, so that'll help anybody in that spot. Then at wide receiver, and this could be a little bit controversial because I know people are more Burden guys than Odunze, but I still have Odunze 1, Burden 2, Xavier Thomas 3, and Khalif Raymond 4. And then at tight end, I have Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet rounding up that chart there. Plus, I think they drafted a rookie tight end as well.
Well, since we've been talking about over and under odds, I decided to just pull them up for all the teams so we can go through this. So we're pretty on this division. We are pretty aligned as aligned as you can be. So I'm only going to talk about the teams that we're talking about as we talk about them. But Chicago, the over/under is 9.5. We both have them at 10 wins. So that would indicate we're right on track, and we're going over. We're leaning over on that. Caleb Williams, I think, is a better fantasy quarterback than NFL quarterback. Otherwise, they would have more wins. I really like DeAndre Swift. He never in fantasy finishes below RB2. You have him at 25. I think he'll be higher than that. I don't think Monangai is that much of a threat to him, but I do think that he's going to get a little bit of run this year, a little bit more than last year. I still like Luther Burden over Odunze, but Odunze is definitely a buy low candidate for fantasy. because his upside, if he hits, is immense, but you have to worry about that foot injury and how he plays on it. But they're the two guys as far as the wide receiver room goes. And I don't really like the wide receivers after them, but they have probably the best tight end group in the entire league with Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and now Sam Roush, their rookie, who I also really like. So
Could they
they
ship
are
off
very much
Kmet?
loaded to yeah, they're very much loaded to go heavy formations too.
They look like they could use a third receiver though, someone to play the slot or the outside spot if Ferdin or Odunze play the slot. They look like they could use a
I think
third
that's why they
weapon.
got Khalif Raymond. They're going to use Khalif Raymond as the third wide receiver.
Well, you're proving my point. They could use another receiver.
I agree, but they seem like they're going to go very tight end heavy instead of a third wide receiver.
That's fair. I mean, then they wouldn't ship off Komet in that position, but Komet is getting up there in age, and they might be able to get something for him now. So
I would take Komet with the Texans in a heartbeat, and I think he'd be the best tight end immediately.
see, there you go. Komet for one of the many, 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 many tight ends that the Texans have, plus a draft pick.
Yeah.
I've never seen a team with so many tight ends.
We can give them Hutchinson at wide receiver, and he'd immediately be the third best wide receiver on the Bears.
There you go. There you go. You guys are kind of heavy at receiver, and I mean, Dell is a wild card this year, coming back from that catastrophic knee injury. So hopefully he can regain form, even though he's cleared. But will he regain form is the question, because he was pretty electric when he played and wasn't blocking at the 1 yard line.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Detroit Lions. I have a 12-5 record for them. You actually went higher than me with the 13-4 record. Kind of shocking there, Jeff.
Dan Campbell.
But to break down the skill position, they still have Jared Goff as the stable, reliable quarterback there. Jahmyr Gibbs is the now clear number one. Isaiah Pacheco as the cheap alternative to replace David Montgomery's spot. Sion Vaki there as the third running back who has been getting some modest praise in camp as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the staple wide receiver, who always consistently finishes very high in fantasy on a year-to-year basis. Very, very safe pick. Jameson Williams, who's very volatile, but his end-of-the-year stats are usually pretty nice. Isaac Tesla, who I hope takes another step forward and catches more passes this year as the third wide receiver there. Greg Dortch as wide receiver 4. Sam Laporta hopefully has a healthy season and some more targeted more with the Lions this year, although it's crowded. And Tyler Conklin as the tight end 2 there, who is a sneaky good NFL tight end to have.
Yes, sir. And hopefully Vaki can move his way up, because he has a really cool name. So that would be cool.
We are at 12.5 wins for them, and we are much higher than the Vegas odds at 10.5, so we're 2 wins higher.
Feels like a over. We should be betting the over on this one.
Yeah, it almost feels like a smash over.
Yep. But yeah, I think I could see Tesla taking a step forward. I could see Pacheco being sneaky with some fantasy value. We're just talking about him before we hit record. I don't know if I want to pay him $18 to $20 million for the next 2 years at RB38 where I have him, because I feel like that's a lot of money for RB38. But in our reality sports online league, if you cut him, you have to pay half. So is he worth $9 million? Probably. So that's kind of where that thought process goes into play. Greg Dortch could be a sneaky guy that catches 20 balls this year, 25 balls. He was good with the Cardinals. Never had the stability of a Jared Goff, so that'll be interesting there. I want to see Laporta take a step forward. I know they have Brock Wright as well, but I think Tyler Conklin is a better fantasy tight end than Brock Wright.
We both have them winning the division, and pretty handedly, because they are at least 1.5 over the next team in the division.
Yes, sir. So we have next up the Green Bay Packers, which we both agreed with an 11-6 record. So this better be 11.5 or 10.5 wins for the Green Bay Packers on your list.
Yeah. Let's see. They are at 9.5 wins.
Okay, so this is another over, especially if Parsons plays more of the year than not. But they have Jordan Love, who I have at quarterback 17. They have Josh Jacobs, who does have some legal concerns, so that is to put it nicely. We'll see if anything happens this year or not. But Chris Brooks on the NFI list is his primary backup as of right now, and then Marshawn Lloyd, which is the guy that you were pumping up before we got kicked off here as the third running back. He's going to have to work his way back. I mean, that's really what it's going to have to be here. Is he's going to have to work his way up the totem pole. Chris Brooks did perform well last year, so he'll have to work his way ahead of Chris Brooks, and Chris Brooks being out is a really good way to put in that work and get ahead of him. Receiver room is kind of all shaken out now. Like, I feel like previously we've had all of these rookie contracts to sort out, and there's still a ton of rookie contracts to sort out, but I believe it's going to go Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and then Savion Williams in the fourth spot for right now. But because they shipped off Wicks and they didn't re-sign Dobbs, I mean, I feel like it's uncongested a lot of the congestion at wide receiver that they had. And then you have Tucker Kraft returning from the ACL tear, and then Musgrave also on the pup list. So a little bit of injuries on this team going into camp.
Yeah, a big factor for them is definitely their health, and they're also really banged up on the defensive side too, but I still see them as a quality team. So I get where the over-under as far as Vegas totals and DraftKings Sportsbook, where that comes from. But I think that they're a little bit better than that, so I'd still hit the over. If Josh Jacobs' legal trouble goes really south, I could definitely see them acquire another running back. Maybe
Right.
from from the Cardinals. I mean, you could get like a James Conner or an Algier.
Trey Benson.
Yeah, well, Trey Benson's coming back from injury too. Both James Conner and Trey Benson, I think.
We'll have to see. All right, one last team in the North here, and that's the Minnesota Vikings, and we both agree on an 8-9 record. So give me 7.5 wins here.
We're under. They're 8.5 wins.
Wow. Okay.
But I will say, Jeff, on this division, the difference between you and I is one total win.
So we have it nailed. I mean, we don't agree on much. So if we agree on this is a good agreement here. But I have Kyler Murray starting as the quarterback all year here. Quarterback 21, though. So not a great quarterback number for Kyler Murray. I just don't think he runs as well as he once did. Does have the best receiver that he's ever played with outside of DeAndre Hopkins, which I will give you some credit for D-Hop there. But at running back here, we kind of have three running backs that I don't really know what to do with right now. Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, and Damon Claiborne. I have them at 49 for Jones, 60 for Mason, and 55 for Claiborne. So what do you think about the running back position on this team here? I think it's going to be hard to shake out.
It's not going to be fun for this season. I think Aaron Jones is breaking down, and Jordan Mason has proven that he's like an average running back as a starter. Claiborne has some excitement because he's a little bit fast and he's a receiving back, but he is very slender, so don't really know if he'll run between the tackles that much. Kyler Murray is probably going to dump off a lot of passes to the running backs, so that's something to keep an eye on, and I think that they'll be having to try to score a lot to keep up with other teams. Despite having a good defense, I think that they'll have to try to air the ball out a little bit. I know Murray's not great down the field, but he is good intermediate and short, and that is where Justin Jefferson thrives. You have him at the lowest you've ever had him at wide receiver 13, which talent-wise in the NFL, he's top 2 or 3, but just the situation, he's wide receiver 13 for fantasy. Jordan Addison, I feel like you're baking in some of his problems by giving him wide receiver 44. If you didn't have those problems, I wonder if you would be still in the wide receiver 2 or high wide receiver 3 conversation for you. And Jawan Jennings, who I think is actually going to be a sneaky guy to keep an eye on that might be a decent wide receiver 4 or 5 for your fantasy teams because he thrives in the intermediate areas just like Jefferson does, which complements Murray, and he has played in a similar system as Kevin O'Connell's system when he played in San Francisco. Ty Felton, still relatively young, rounds out the wide receiver core, and we can kind of just add in tight end 1, TJ Hawkinson, and tight end 2, Josh Oliver, who just recently got a payday as well. Jeff, where do you see these guys, and are you wanting any of them in fantasy?
Probably going to stay away from the vast majority of them, but do you remember how once upon a time that it was like cousins and sons that were collecting like Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson? Now it seems like they're collecting all the JJs. They have Justin Jefferson, Shawan Jennings, JJ McCarthy. Like now it's the JJ team. TJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mason.
I don't know why. I don't know why they never thought of cousins and sons. I feel like that would have been.
They just didn't have Mason there then. Mason.
I think Hawkinson, I want to see, like, I think on paper, Hawkinson will fit with Murray really well, but I'm hesitant to get excited about that. So I like that you have him as tight end 20. I think that's probably still a little low, but if I can get him at that price tag and hope he actually blows up again as a tight end 1, I think that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I just don't know the last time Kyler Murray has supported 2 fantasy weapons at once. So that's what I want to see here with Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. Well, if this doesn't work out, is Kevin O'Connell out of a job?
If he is, I would hire him in a heartbeat. So, I mean, there's that too. Because what he did with JJ and Wentz and everybody last year was a miracle. But before we wrap up this podcast, let's rewind a little bit here for over-unders. And we didn't do the Bengals here, which we averaged out at 12 wins. What's the Bengals over-under?
Bengals are over under 10.5.
Right, so we are over on that because we have a 12-win average, and then the Ravens we have an 11-win average.
They are at 11.5.
Okay, so we're on. Well, you would go the over, and I would go the under on that one. So that one's probably about right.
And it's funny that the NFC we are only 1 win apart, but the AFC we are 6 wins apart.
Okay, we will see. We will see. You love the Ravens a little bit more than I do.
Same thing with the Bengals, but they play Cleveland twice a year.
True. You had them all with at least one more win than me. So
yeah, it must be how their schedule shook out.
Yep. We'll see here in September if you keep up with that or if it changes a little bit. But that is the North.
And that does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading or listening to this episode. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Everybody.